If I've learned anything from having arrest warrants out in multiple states, it's becoming a master at moving around. And luckily, I can apply that same master technique to moving around the guitar fretboard. So today, we're going to do a cool acoustic guitar thing. This is also going to work on electric guitar in any key. We're going to focus on the key of E major, because I just put some new Elixir strings on this Martin D35 and it has never sounded better. I've got the nano webs on here. This video is sponsored by Elixir strings. We're going to talk more about it as it goes along, just because you're going to hear how good does that sound. This Martin has never sounded better, I promise you. So, E major, you probably already know this chord. It's the most glorious of all chords, of all the major chords. Second fret on the A string, second fret on the D string, first fret on the G string. Okay, so by itself, it's just a sound of pure glory, but we're going to start moving around in different positions, but kind of keeping it in this part of the neck so you can apply this to anything else, all right? So the first thing we're going to do is going to sound like this. Okay, so it's kind of moving the bulk of this first shape in a way that you can start incorporating different single notes into, or different double stops, or just different chord shapes, all right? So I've got that E major shape. My middle finger and my ring finger are really holding down this second fret on the A and the D string, okay? Which really is going to be the fifth of the chord. Again, open E, its fifth is B, second fret, and there's another E, a higher octave E, right? So the relationship between these two notes is going to be really right next to each other all throughout the key, really in any key along these two strings and beyond even, right? So what we're doing is we're just focusing in on the A and the D string, and they're going 2 frets higher, to 4 and 4, 2 frets higher, 6 and 6, 1 fret higher to 7 and 7, and then we'll stop right there, okay? Now I can throw these little mini chords, double stops in between strumming the chord. And it sounds good, right? Almost as like different chords. We could look at it that way. Or I can actually make a little scale out of these, because that's essentially what a scale is. A scale is just a collection of notes that sound good together. And once you memorize really easy patterns, like just this kind of little bunching of 2 notes, 2 frets higher, or a whole step higher than that, and a half step, then that can become a little mini scale. And you can do anything with those notes around these chords. You can start here. You could jump strings like that. There's an infinite amount of things you can do with just that information, and that's really just one chord. And then thinking of moving, like I said, that power chord, right? A root and its 5th note is generally referred to as a power chord. Usually, though, the other way around, right? Like here's the E power chord, an F sharp power chord, G sharp, A, right? If you think of it as that, but inverted, there's not a huge difference between those two, so it's good to know both ways. And when you do it that way, when your root note isn't anchored on the low E string, since this is in the key of E, we can actually add that open E string to give a little more body to it that kind of cohesively makes it very E-centric, right? So that's just a lot of stuff that we can do around the open tonic chord, the one chord, the key that we're in. But pretty much every song has other chords that go along with it, right? The most common chords you'll find in most music are the 1, 4, and the 5 in a certain key. In the key of E, E, F sharp, G sharp, A and B. The A major chord and the B major chord are great places to start. B major is a chord that a lot of people are afraid of because they see it as maybe that dreaded double bar chord right here, or some books, for some reason, show it like this. I always just think of an A major chord. You probably already know this: open A, 2, 2, 2. However you play it. If you play it with one finger, if you play it with these fingers, it doesn't matter as long as you can get it to sound good. You know what I mean? And if you're playing on elixir strings, it's never gonna sound bad. These Nano Web 12s, I'm telling you, please, if you've never tried elixir strings, you just need to. I've been a huge fan of these strings since before they endorsed any of these videos. But now that they are endorsing these videos, you're going to hear a lot about it. So click that link in the description to get yourself a pack, because you will not regret it. I mean, it sounds... Do I even have to speak words? It just sounds so good. Right? So here's that A major chord. I'm going to play it with my middle finger, ring finger, and pinky, because I find that that's the easiest transition from an open E major chord like that, because again, your middle finger and your ring finger, like we said in that first part of the video, are already sticking right next to each other. So just kind of smush them down and add your pinky on top, right? Like that. I think that's probably contextually the way that I usually play this chord. And then just a full step higher, there's your B major chord, okay? Now technically, you might be hitting an open A string to go along with it, thus changing the name of the chord. Whatever, we get it, you know what I mean? A, B, E, B, A, E. And then we can take all the stuff we did in the first part, where it's like... And all that really was that one shape, well technically two shapes if we get that A major shape in here, to get the B in there. And then it sounds less like a traditional 1-4-5 like E, A. You're kind of getting a little more action, because you're getting what I think is like the cool part of a open centric tuning like the key of E, because we have an E on the bottom and an E on top. B is the fifth of the key, so the top two strings and the lowest string are already doing so much of the work. It's just kind of getting those other chords in between, and then just pick around it. Right? A lot of cool different things you can do. All right. So those are just the major chords in a key. Like I said, every key has 3 major chords and 3 minor chords that are kind of like the main chords that populate the key. If you want to learn more about that stuff, you should check out the Patreon for sure. But I want to talk a little bit about the minor chords, because they're a lot easier to make than some people think. One of the reasons that I've seen some of my students not want to play the key of E so much is because they have some chords that are difficult, like an F sharp minor, a G sharp minor, and a C sharp minor, right? And a lot of times we first bump into those chords as bar chords. But if you can play these open chords, we've already got all the shapes that we really need to play these chords that we've played as major, all right? So, for example, we have that A major chord right there. Let's say we want to play an F sharp minor chord. Just move this A chord 1 string lower, and then move your middle finger an extra string lower, okay? Now I've got the 2nd fret of the E string. I'm gonna skip the A string. I'm naturally kind of accidentally muting with my middle finger anyway. And then I have, guess what? There's that 2-note grouping, that power chord grouping here, making it an F sharp minor 7, which is always a classier replacement for F sharp minor anyway. Plus, we have the added benefit that B and E open are always going to sound good-ish in this key. How much better does that sound as an F sharp minor than, right? I feel like once you hear a big chimey open F sharp minor chord with the B and E strings, minor 7 with those strings ringing out on top of it, a regular bar chord, much more difficult to play F sharp minor chord, just sounds kind of sad and boxy. Even though it's impossible to make a Martin D35 with Elixir Nano Web 12s on it sound sad and boxy, that's the saddest and boxiest I can get it to sound right there. Compared to that cool, open, just breath that you get with like the top strings, right? So any minor chord, you can make a minor 7 chord. We can do the same thing for a G sharp minor, which used to be just the 4th fret, 4, 6, 6, 4, 4, 4. That's the somewhat more difficult bar chord way to play that. We could open it up on top with that B and E. So now it's really like A major to F sharp minor, B major to G sharp minor, just by kind of doing that little trick where you just scoot that chord a string lower and then have your middle finger go an extra string lower, right? 2 skip 2 2, 4 skip 4 4. And then the C sharp minor, you can do the same thing, 9th fret, skip 9 9. So all the major chords, or the minor chords in this key, C sharp minor will be the 9th fret, in line, you can see there. F sharp minor, 2nd fret, G sharp minor, 4th fret. Move that straight down to our traditional, or somewhat traditional, B, A, E. Okay, so, like I said, the concept of all this is movable in any key that you want to do. Specifically, if you want to get the open chimey sound of all this, you might just want to put a capo to transpose this higher, because then you get the advantage of having all these cool open key of E things that you can do. But I think more than that is just thinking of the major chord, and then just kind of thinking in a different way to kind of go about grabbing some of these different notes, okay? So just to recap everything, we've got the first thing that we did where it's just the one chord, E, and then we're going to add those 2-note power chord double stops. Not thinking of the fret numbers, thinking of where you are in the chord. A whole step away, a whole step away, and a half step away. Right? And again, you know, if you think of intervals, you'd start with the root note. You go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. You can think of it that way. There's a lot of different ways you can think about it. That part specifically, I think, is the most movable thing. Because let's say you're in the people's key, the key of G, and you have like a G major bar chord. Remember that E is tucked, that E major shape is tucked inside. So what do I have here? I've got my ring finger and my pinky now, kind of playing that inverted power chord. 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret. It's the exact same thing in G as it is open. Right? It sounds like you're doing something really impressive. Right? So that's really what we're all here for, is just to sound like we know how to play guitar. And all you have to do is just learn some of these tricks and put Elixir strings on an acoustic guitar, and like you're set, my guy. you are set. Cooking with fire. A, B. So after we have that, and again, don't be afraid to do them single notes either. Once we have that, then we're going to add the other chords in the key. A major, B major, turn them into minor 7 chords. Alright, because you think of just 2 shapes. Shape 1, shape 2, in different kind of contexts. And it's amazing, like I love the way that, it's funny, when I first started playing guitar, I didn't really understand why it was set up, like why is it E, A, D, G, B, E, and stuff like that. Like why is it tuned to fourth sometimes, then the B string screws it up? Well, this really is such an efficient way to do it, because you can take this one shape and then get the majorness of a key, and then right into minor. So everything you need can really be done with just a couple shapes, right? So I'm all about just taking the stuff that you know and then just maybe applying it in different positions to try to make things sound better, make a little bit more sense. Slowly but surely, you'll start to incorporate the music theory into it. Like I said, I'm guilty of this too. If I saw a song with like an F sharp minor and a G sharp minor, I would be like, why don't we just transpose this down until like that F sharp is an A minor and the G sharp minor is a B minor or something like that, right? To change the chords with the capo. But no more. They're just as easy as any other chord to play. And remember, in the key of E, 2nd fret, 4th fret, 9th fret, A major, B major, E. Cool. So if you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. Make sure you get some Elixir strings. Promise you, you will not regret it. Definitely the best strings in the game. It's so funny. It's like once I've gotten used to the Elixirs, nothing else will do. I'll like do unboxings with like new guitars and stuff, and like they'll have like the stock uncoated strings on it, and I'm just like, oh. And I'm excited because it might be a new guitar, but it's like, man, I really wish I had Elixirs on here right now. So definitely get those. Definitely it supports the channel. So I appreciate all you guys watching. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.